Bang! Welcome back. Another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Tyler, Jake, and Mike is back now that we have Badger basketball back. Last week we had an all Milwaukee Bucks episode. This week we have Badgers basketball back after their Christmas break. So we have the Iowa and the Rutgers games to recap. And then Jake and I are going to recap the 3 Milwaukee Bucks games from the last week. And we're going to talk about Khris Middleton coming off the bench for the Bucks starting tonight. So we'll talk about that as well. Yep. So we're going to start with Badgers and then we'll do Bucks.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
All right, so we're going to start, like I said, with Badgers basketball. Now, we had 2 games in the last week. We had an absolutely destructive blowout of Fran McCaffrey's Iowa Hawkeyes, which was tremendously fun to watch. And then we had the double-digit win against Rutgers, which was kind of a close game, got a little sketchy, and then the Badgers won by double digits anyways. So we're going to start with Rutgers. Rutgers was the most recent. Start with Iowa. Going back to Friday night, Mike, what stood out to you from the Badger game on Friday night with the guards?
Well, there's definitely a few things, right? But my biggest takeaway from this whole thing, first off, was we did not see a Fran McCaffrey outburst. That was a big takeaway. That was something that usually when Wisconsin and Iowa are playing, Fran usually has something to say to the refs. So the fact that he kept quiet for the most part, that definitely says something. It might have been because he knew he was about to get his ass kicked, but that's for debate, I suppose.
Then he was respectful after the game, which just felt weird and gross.
Yeah. Maybe that's the trouble of times in Iowa land, but whatever, it's all good. But no, anyway, a lot of things stood out. I'll start with Klez real quick. He played 23 minutes, 8 points. Again, we talked about his streaky shooting a little bit, but he really got going finally once Iowa went to that zone. It slowed us down maybe for about 2 minutes, but once we really got in rhythm, once we really found out what they were doing specifically, we were able to draw some plays up for not just Klez, but other guys as well. So that's how Klez got going. Had a corner, 2 big threes in that zone. So he had 8 points, 6 assists, and 1 rebound. So it was good to see him, starting to put a few things together. 3 of 5 shooting, didn't need to do too much. Thanks to the other guys on the squad, and everybody ate on Friday. So Jack Janicki, pretty quiet for the most part, 12 minutes, 2 assists. Then I think, at least out of the guards, the player of the night was Kamari McGee. Again, from the guards' perspective. In 21 minutes, Cam had 12 points, an incredible 4 of 5 from 3. Cam is not usually known for his shooting, but I've talked about his at least 3-point percentage this year has been astounding. And I think that really goes back to his shot selection ultimately going into this year. I kind of put him and Carter Gilmore sort of in that bucket now. Not necessarily the amount of shots, but the quality of looks that they're getting from the outside specifically.
And the rhythm. Rhythm that they're shooting with.
So,
absolutely.
Just taking what you can get, and it's good quality looks. So yeah, he had three from the left 3 threes from the left hand corner, which is pretty cool. And then the fourth one that he hit the 100th point for the Badgers, which I pointed out to in our chat. This is the second of 4 games that I called that the Badgers would hit 100 points. So We're halfway there. So hopefully we can get two more of those. And I think what really stood out with Cam too, this is after the game, post-game interview. He was on taking questions. And one of the quotes that he said was, once we realized they were just trying to outscore us and they didn't really care about the defensive end, we took advantage of that. All we had to do was play a little more defense than them, and the game was ours. I could not stop laughing. Yeah, he actually full out said that. So that was incredible. I guess for a couple more side notes, shout out to Daniel Freitag and Cameron Hunter for getting their first points as Badgers. Cam Hunter had a nice three-pointer. It looked really good, actually. And then Danny Freitag had a nice dunk, threw one down, got the crowd going. So shout out to those guys. I'll let you guys talk more about the records more, but for me, I guess defensively, we did play a little more defense. We did hold Iowa under their season average, 85 points. Their average is 89.7. And I guess this team is clearly a very, very unselfish. It's shown that all year. And I say that, this is a perfect example. We had 26 assists on 40 made buckets.
Love that.
That sticks out to me, that's been the story this year. I mean, I hope John Tanjay only took 6 shots this game, and everybody ate, you know what I mean? So it goes back to, everyone talks about him like at the beginning of games, like the leading scorer, right, on average. Kind of fluctuates a little bit with that Arizona game, but this just goes to show that, we have multiple guys that can literally have these 20-point game, 15, 20-point games at any given night. And
or 30.
Yeah, or 30 in this case for certain people. But no, love the unselfishness of this group. It clearly showed with damn near everybody hitting a 3-pointer for us on Friday.
Yeah.
No, it was a great night. Everybody ate. And not even take the 116 points out of it. This is just a very important win for Wisconsin in general. We were coming into this game 0-2 in the conference, so this is something we had to have, especially when you're going on the road next game at Rutgers, which is, as I talked about, a house of horrors playing there. So nothing is guaranteed in this league at all. So it's very important for us just to, get this win, and we're on to Rutgers. So great win for the boys.
Yeah, looking at the wings, I'm going to start with Tanjay because I'm going to talk a little bit further about Blackwell. So John Tanjay hit his first 3, got an and one right before halftime. Like Mike said, he only took 6 shots in a game that the Badgers scored 116 points. That's dangerous.
The ball movement was elite.
Absolutely. And Jake's going to talk about how many shots Stephen Crowell took and the way that the Badgers were still able to capitalize on it. But my biggest thing, and I'm going to tie this to Max Klesmit as well, because he scored 8 points, like Mike said, which isn't, astronomical, but he did it on 5 shots. So he was 3 for 5 from the field. That's 60%. He was 2 for 4 from the 3-point line. That's efficient scoring from Max Klesmit. Same goes for John Tanji, who was 3 for 6 from the field. That's 50%, and then he was 2 for 3 from the 3-point line, 67%, and then he made 4 out of his 5 free throws. So really efficient game from John Tanjay and Max Klesmit to still be contributing, even on a night where everybody, like Mike said, was eating. So Tanjay finished with 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and then 3 steals also in his 23 minutes. Then we go to the man of the day, John Blackwell, who is going to hit my bold prediction marks. I have a strong feeling about that. Very good job for him to get a nice mid-range in the paint to open his scoring. Went on a 5-0 run by himself. Then that took the lead from 3 points to 8 points. Hit 2 threes shortly before halftime, right at the end of the shot clock, which was awesome to see. Just exploding his scoring numbers. He had 15 points in the first half, and then starts taking off. Hits his first 2 threes of the second half, does not look back at any point. He finished 11 of 18 from the field, and I said this, I think, 2 weeks ago. If John Blackwell is consistently hitting his threes, he is capable of these 20-plus, sometimes 30-plus scoring outputs.
I have something to say about Blackwell. He is scratching the surface to maybe being a future Big Ten Player of the Year next year.
I absolutely can see that.
I think he can play defense. Yep. He can handle the ball. He could dish it out, and like you said, man, if he's hitting that pull-up 3-pointer, it might be wraps for everybody in this conference.
So the 32 points that he had was a career high. 6 of 10 from the 3-point line. 60% is crazy.
That's wild.
I'm not expecting a repeat of that, but if he's anywhere near 40%, he's going to be really good consistently.
Yeah.
Those 6 3-pointers were also a career high. 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. I'm good with 2. Anytime he's under 3, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to freak out that he had 2 turnovers. Just really good job by John Blackwell in his career high scoring day. So I'll let Jake talk about the bigs, and then we can just talk about the team as a whole.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to give credit to Iowa. I really, really like their big man, Freeman. He is smooth butter down low. He can finish with both hands. He's got really good footwork. With that being said, I'm going to give credit to the Badgers because Nolan Winter is smooth as butter down low, and he's starting to gain a little bit of confidence with that jumper, I think. He was trying to shoot it before because he could. He had the green light to shoot that shot. But now you could tell a difference when he shoots it. He expects it to go in. He's holding that follow through a little bit better. Before he was kind of just shooting it like, hit the rim, please. Now he's holding it like, this is going in now. And that's the biggest difference for Nolan Winter. This Badgers team, so going back to last week, or sorry, not last week, 2 weeks ago when they played Detroit Mercy, they were plus 16 on the boards. Fast forward to the game against Iowa, also plus 16 on the boards. That's a big shout out to everybody boxing out, grabbing rebounds, being physical. That's the one area where in the half court where I see the Badgers maybe struggling this year. But Crowell, when he decides to act like a 7-footer, I tell you what, this team is a completely different basketball team. He played.
Put a pin in that for the Rutgers game, please.
Oh, I have something to say about him in the Rutgers game. Don't you worry. But he played really good in this game too. He only took 4 shots. I mean, we're talking about shot attempts, right? And Tyler was foreshadowing. Took 4 shots. He had 14.7 rebounds and 3 assists. Now we've often talked about his ability to be a playmaker. Awesome, very good passer. The thing that he's also improved on is his pace. He's not, and we've talked about this with Bobby Portis, not to switch sports here or switch teams. We've talked about Bobby Portis kind of being a ball stopper, and I felt like Steven Crowell was that in a sense where he would get the ball and kind of hold it and kind of wait for the screen on the opposite side. He's done a little bit better job of just swinging that thing and making it a little bit more smooth, in my opinion. But both of them had great games. I'm talking Winter and Crowell. Winter 18-8 on 8 of 11 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3. Fantastic job. Now, shout out to Amos. He came in 2 for 2, 2 for 2 from 3. It was everybody. It was buy one get one free on the 3-pointers. Apparently,
so, for real.
He came in and he hit a couple. And when you have Carter Gilmore and you utilize him the way that Greg Gard is doing a tremendous job with his rotations, in my opinion. Not getting enough credit for that this year. He is using Gilmore, and I loved that they called him Happy Gilmore in the Rutgers game. That was hilarious to me. But Gilmore comes in, and he came in early for defense because Steven Crowell was kind of struggling with Freeman's speed. He's a little bit quicker than Crowell. Crowell's obviously a lengthy guy and can disrupt your shots at the rim, but staying in front of people, not his strong suit. So Gilmore, similar size and speed. I know he's a little bit shorter than Freeman. Freeman's listed as 6'10". I don't really think he's a real 6'10". But Gilmore comes in, plays some good defense, and he hits 2 3-pointers. I mean, when I say it was buy one, get one free, when Gilmore's 2 for 2, you might as well just start the bus, man. Because that's not – if you told me last year that Gilmore was going to go 2 for 2, I'm going to say Badgers are going to win that basketball game. That's what I'm going to say, flat out. Now, I don't mean that as disrespect.
Right after you say, why is Carter Gilmore shooting 2 threes in one game?
Right.
Hey, I was in that camp, dog. I was in that camp. I'll admit that.
He did good. I have a bunch of the records written down. Me and Tyler talked about it last week. Tyler has them all written down, so I'm going to let my boy map them all out for everybody. So fire away, my boy.
All right. So first things first, the Badgers jerseys are awesome.
Oh,
yeah, those designed. Yeah, the ones that they designed. Yeah, they are pretty cool.
I love the
shorts. Call out.
Love the shorts.
Yeah, had to throw that out there.
The city skyline. I like
that.
All
right,
on the
let's
back.
talk Iowa. Iowa allows 74.2 points per game coming into this game. Badgers put up 116. I want to. Jake just brought it up with the rotations. There needs to be credit given to Greg Gard. I don't give a singular shit your personal feelings on how the first 9 years of his coaching career went. This season, Greg Gard has adjusted, and this Badgers team is different. There was a lot of roster turnover coming in, and Greg Gard adjusted, and this team is different. Strategically, pace, the players outside of a few that are stuck around, this team is built different. 116 points is not going to be the norm, but it is near the ceiling of what they can do. And we've talked about it. Steven Crowell shot 4 shots, Klesmit took 5, and Tanjay took 6. That's 3 of your starters taking 6 or fewer shots, and they scored 116 fucking points.
Yeah, that's insane, dude.
Yeah.
So that's that. Iowa went into a little bit of zone to negate the Badgers' size a little bit. Like Mike said, it helped get Max Klesmit hot. Let's put a pin in that as well. I want to give credit to Nolan Winter. He was working very hard to establish paint position in this game, part of what caused Iowa to go into that zone. And he started to attract some gravity. Nolan Winter, as a sophomore in the starting lineup, is starting to attract gravity. I love that about him.
Fair.
Now, Badgers were 9 of 13 from the three-point line in the first half. They finished the first half on a 19-2 run, and the route was on. Badgers came out of halftime, got an 11-4 start, up by 18 points. Carter Gilmore drew a charge, hit a 3. Badgers are up 20. Everybody's hitting. Kamari McGee hit back-to-back threes off of John Blackwell assists. Part of 6 straight made shots by the Badgers. They're up 24 points at that point. Marcus Ilver tied the Badgers record for most made threes in a game. Amos, I'm like, all right, like if anybody's gonna let one fly, it's Xavier Amos, and he lets 2 in a row fly. He makes 2 to give the Badgers the all-time 3-point record in program history. Daniel Freitag, his dunk tied the Badgers high against a Big Ten opponent, which was 113 points. And then Cam Hunter hit a 3. That set the new record against a Big Ten opponent. The previous record was 113 points, set back in 1993. The year of our Lord Tyler Schicker was born.
Nicely done.
Last time that happened.
Nicely done.
The most shots the Badgers missed in a row this entire game, how many do you think it was?
I know, so I'm not going to say it.
Oh, shit. I don't know. Like 20, maybe? I'm not sure.
No,
shots in a row. How many shots in a row?
Shots in a row. Oh, no, okay. No, never mind. I thought you meant total. I know this. I did have this written down. So
okay.
Go ahead.
2.
Yeah.
The Badgers at no point in this game against Iowa missed more than 2 shots in a row.
Yeah.
That is wild. Absolutely wild to never miss more than 2 shots in a row.
I do have to give you credit though, Mike. You were trying to guess how many shots they missed total in the game.
Total, yeah.
20?
I mean, I'm like, I don't
22,
know.
So that was a good ass guess.
Really?
Nice. Yeah, they went 40 of 62.
Very nice, very nice. All right. Yeah. So this was the Badgers' first time scoring 100 versus a Big Ten opponent since 1993. The second most points they've ever scored in program history.
Yes.
The most they've ever scored was 120 points in 1967. So again, I'm going to impress upon you to put your feelings of Greg Gard aside, because we made a post about this, about all the records the Badgers broke with this game, this being the second highest scoring output in Badgers history, and still get comments like, this isn't the norm, don't expect this, Greg Gard is still inconsistent. It's like, do you understand that this means that Bo Ryan's teams never did this? Bennett's teams never did this. 1967 was the last time they scored this many points.
Bro, it would have taken Bo Ryan's teams 3 games to score 116.
I was going to say the same thing about Bennett. Bennett would have been the same thing.
Right.
So, yeah. And the person that was making these comments was like, people are saying this is the new Greg Gard. And it's like, the new Greg Gard offenses are capable of scoring 116 points. They're not going to average 116 points. Don't bring that energy to Wisco Fanatics, because that's not what we are saying. I don't give a shit if other people are saying it. We are not saying that the Badgers are going to average 116 points. But, again, we need to impress on you that the Badgers are capable of this because of what Greg Gard and the staff have done with this team, changing the way that they play offense. Last thing, 21 made three-pointers, school record. Anything else that you guys want to throw on top of this?
I was sick and tired of losing to Iowa in every sport, so this felt good.
Yeah. Got our get back. Beat them almost by the same number of points that they beat us in football.
Yeah. Cole
You
Center
said the
single
same thing
game
when
record.
I said that to you on Friday, bro.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say on Iowa before we move into
No.
Rutgers?
Fuck them.
We good.
It was, like I said, it was weird seeing Fran McCaffrey being respectful and not care for that. Made me feel weird. All right, let's talk Rutgers. Let's go to Monday's game. Jake, I'll let you start with the bigs this time. I had Mike go first last time, so we'll have Jake go first with the bigs.
Yeah, sadly, Nolan Winter had to leave this game early because of a hand injury, but he is okay. I read reports yesterday that he's going to be just fine, so that made me feel much better about him leaving the game early. But he did have 5.6 rebounds. He went 2 for 3 from the field, and again 1 for 2 from 3. I mean, I'm telling you, he's building that confidence. As soon as he starts taking 3, 4, maybe 5 a game, when he gets that ultimate green light, he's going to be a problem. I'm telling you, man.
Dude, you imagine if both Blackwell and Winter stay for all 4 years?
Dude, they would, if they develop a pick and roll game, dude. They could go down as
seniors. Those two as seniors are going to fuck shit up.
Blackwell might be league before his 4th year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Apparently, I didn't mention this after the Iowa game. He was getting calls from the NBA last year already.
Yeah.
Who was?
John Blackwell.
John Blackwell.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Wow.
He's got that mid-range now, bro. And
he's a dog on defense.
Yeah.
He is a competitor. You could tell. Oh, this is a whole different conversation. I could talk about this for hours. I'm so sorry. It's going to continue on with the big men. I love these kind of sidebar conversations. So talking rebounding before I talk about Stephen Crowell, right? So I gave credit plus 16 back-to-back games in the rebounding department. This game against the Rutgers team that they're being physical and kind of in the Bush League kind of way a little bit, in my opinion. The Badgers still won the rebounding battle. Now, Rutgers had 18 offensive rebounds, and I saw people going crazy about it, and this is why I wanted to talk about it. Plus 35 in the rebounding department over the last 3 games. That's a great thing for the Badgers. Plus 3 in this game alone. And Stephen Crowell was a big part of that. Again, I said last game when we were talking Iowa, and I'm talking Rutgers now, when Stephen Crowell decides to act like a 7-footer, the Wisconsin Badgers are a very good basketball team. I almost said football team because I've been thinking about the Packers all day. Stephen Crowell, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 of 11, 2 of 3 from the three-point line, and 1 steal. An absolute elite game from Stephen Crowell. This is the best that I've seen him this year.
The final 7-ish minutes was probably the most aggressive rebounding I've seen from Stephen Crowell ever.
Oh yeah.
100%. I said it to you guys, I'm proud of Stephen Crowell for the way that he played over those final 7-8 minutes.
Yeah.
And he had to, right? Because
He did.
Yeah. Awesome for him.
He did. The Badgers do not win this game without Stephen Crowell playing the way he did. Tough place to play. Obviously, not been a good place for Wisconsin to play since Rutgers has come over to the Big Ten. Last couple of years were tough. Not going to lie, we're just going to forget about that. But credit to him. Amos didn't make a 3 in this game, but he still brought good energy, I thought. Had a block, 4 points, and 2 rebounds. So good hustle by him. I really like his potential. I think this year you kind of work him into the lineup at times. And again, this is the game where I really started thinking about guard needing more credit for his rotations, because I was like, man, he's pulling the right strings right now with when he puts guys in, where he puts guys in, positioning, matchups. He's doing a very good job with all that stuff right now. That's the stuff that people that sit on their couch when they watch the game, and then immediately when something bad happens, they open their phone and they want to type a comment on a status, agreeing with the other negative people. It's like, these are the kind of things that you're not thinking about. You're not thinking about when these guys check in or why they check in. You don't know the numbers. You don't be with these guys every single day. This is the kind of stuff that they have to think about day in and day out.
Yeah. And
not just during basketball season, since we're on this topic. They care about Wisconsin basketball for 12 months, okay? Yeah. All year round, 365, 24/7, they like Wisconsin Badger basketball. So just remember that next time that you think you want to complain on the internet about stuff, about decision making that they're making. This goes for all teams. I'm talking Packers, Badgers, Brewers, Bucks, all of them. You don't get to make decisions like they do, okay? Now, back to Gilmore here. Now, he didn't score. He usually isn't a big scorer, but I thought that he played pretty physical, in my opinion. 1 for 3 and 1 for 2 from 3. He's just going to make a three-pointer every game now. He's going to shut everybody up. He's going to shoot his 2 threes a game, and he's going to make one of them, and that's just how it's going to work.
Shot clock 3 too, right?
Yes.
At the end of the shot clock.
Yeah.
And he had 2 blocks. His one block was white boy on white boy crime. That was
a get back. He should have had a foul on before that. He got his get back.
Yeah, he blocked it like 10 rows into the stands, and I was like, yo, that's like the second or third one this year where I'm just like, damn, Gilmore, rim protector, my boy. But shout out to all the big men, man. They've been competing their ass off the last couple of weeks and really playing physical brand of basketball, and it has transformed the Badgers. We started out being really guard-centric, in my opinion. It kind of went big men for a 2-game stretch there, and I think the balance is kind of coming to this team, and we're really seeing this team shape up in front of our eyes in a really perfect time in the middle of 2 games that we needed, like Mike said before, going 0-2 into this stretch in Big Ten play, and then getting 2 wins, 1 on the road in a tough place for us to play. Really, really nice. This Badgers team is going to be fun for this year. Madison's going to be a great place to watch a basketball game this year.
Yeah. And Carter Gilmore is one of those guys where last year people started coming around on him.
Yep.
And the year before, outside of us, and I'm sure that there were other outlets, but there is not a lot of public opinion that was favorable on Carter Gilmore. I know that we were because we love effort guys, and that's what Carter Gilmore is. But the perception of Carter Gilmore probably 2 years ago was not great. And now he comes in and he's your big man defensive guy. They put on Ace Bailey, a 5-star freshman.
True.
And rattled him to the point that he's throwing elbows.
Yeah.
That he is lucky did not connect.
Yeah.
And thankfully that technical that he got for doing that ended up being his 5th foul when he was out of the game, because he should have been out of the game anyways.
I agree.
I don't care that he didn't actually connect with Carter Gilmore. If you're swinging elbows at people's jaws, out of my basketball game.
Yeah, the intent alone, I agree with you.
Yep. I'm going to wait until Mike talks about the guards to get into the other part of it. But on the wings, John Blackwell started very aggressively. He scored 6 points and assisted 2 out of the first 10 points. So out of the first 10, 8 of them were scored or assisted by John Blackwell. Hit a late shot clock 3 as well. He had first half 13 points. Rutgers cut the lead to 4. John Blackwell immediately went and got a bucket. He's becoming that guy that, like, he can score on the 3-point line. He can score on the mid-range. He can drive to the basket. And he's starting a little bit. I've seen it a couple times in these 2 games in Iowa and Rutgers where he'll drive to the paint and then he's spinning back towards the middle and getting a really close range fadeaway jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
So not quite a mid-range shot, but like a short-range shot, but not restricted circle. So call it short range, but getting himself some short-range jump shots as well.
Either way, he's got 2 feet in the paint and he's getting a good-ass shot.
Absolutely. And he's getting good looks at the basket, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
So going into it, coming out of it, he finished 8 of 15 from the field, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, did have 5 turnovers. Now, this hasn't really been a problem for him over the last 4 games, but I don't want to see the 11 turnovers that he had in the 3 games that the Badgers lost in a row. That's where those turnovers were kind of a problem. It didn't end up being a problem in this game, but it's just something that I don't want it to be a recurring issue. Looking at John Tonje, he did a really good job in transition, finishing at the rim, running good pick and roll with Xavier Amos, actually, something I didn't really expect to see very much of Tonje and Amos running pick and rolls together. Hit a tough contested mid-range shot to put Wisconsin up 10 in the second half, twice actually, and drew an offensive foul. Really good job by him. He did miss a couple shots at the rim that I think he should make, shots that I trust that he'll make in the future. Hit a really good job of hitting a 3 when Rutgers got the game within 3. He finished with 15 points, 13 of those 15 in the second half. And then we've talked about this before, John Tonje helping as a rebounder. 9 rebounds for John Tonje. That's absolutely a major benefit of a guard who can come in and give you 9 rebounds. Other than that, added 2 assists, 2 blocks, a steal, and only 1 turnover. So good job by him to only have the 1 turnover. Both Tanjay and Blackwell were 1 of 4 from the 3-point line. Not something that I expect to be continued the case over the course of the season. So, Mike, what did you take away from the guards?
I mean, yeah, just looking at it now, if you're to tell me, if you're looking at the box score and you didn't watch this game, we shot 6 free throws, right? The first one didn't come until 3:28 left in the game. All right.
Yep.
The batters did have 16 turnovers, and Jake mentioned it before, but Rutgers did get 18 offensive rebounds. Now, if I see that, if those are like the top 3 stats coming from this game, I'm not going to lie. I don't think we win that game. Not initially, just by looking at that. But it was a little unorthodox, I would say, for the most part. And then the flip side of that, I'm going to talk defense first. You got 2 stud freshmen coming into this game with Rutgers, with Dylan Harper, who the batters held to 0 points. I know he wasn't himself. It sounded like he had an illness going into the game. Whether that, I would say that's kind of an advantage on our end, but still 0 points is 0 points. You're averaging 20 a game. If you can shut somebody out, that's huge. And then Ace Bailey, as Tyler kind of mentioned before, the batters did a really good job. Klesmit was guarding him for the most part.
I know they clamped him. I didn't know they clamped him that bad. I don't know if you were going to read his stats or not.
Oh, no, I can real quick. No,
I got him pulled up. I was looking at him right now.
He had 2 shot, 0 of 2.
3 of 16?
Oh, yeah, Ace Bailey was, yeah. 3 of 16 shooting, 9 points, which is, yeah. And then the 1 3-pointer that he got was literally right out of halftime, and Klesmit wasn't paying attention, like, right away.
Wow.
But other than that, I mean, you're talking maybe 6 points for the most part if he doesn't give up that 3. So kudos to Kles. And the rest of the team, obviously. But yeah, when he was getting a little dicey with Carter Gilmore at the end, he was probably fuming from what was going on all game. So yeah. Then, like I said, at the flip side of that, and it's like, oh, okay, now that's starting to. Now I can see why we might win. But yeah, I'll start with Max Klesmit again. With 24 minutes, he did hit a big time 3-pointer for us. Right when he was about to get going, that's when he gets hurt. Go figure. But he had 3 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. We can talk about this, for a while too, about the situation when he got undercut. The batters ended up losing him for the final 10 minutes, and we were able to gut it out. And apparently, as of today, he wasn't a boot at practice, so hopefully he's back ASAP. It looked like he rolled the shit out of his ankle. If I had to guess, I bet they keep him out on Friday personally, because rolling your ankle is definitely no joke at all whatsoever. That can take a long time to heal. I know they got specialists down there, but they can tape the shit out of it, but it is not fun to play on at all whatsoever.
He's been reported as day-to-day.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I mean, depending what comes down to the type of matchup, but the coaching staff likes it, that we play without him. Great. If not, maybe we'll throw him in there for a few minutes. But and then and then when Tyler talked about the pick and roll, Klesmit and Amos actually had a very nice pick and roll as well.
Yep.
That's how Amos got both of his buckets, but that was a good call out too. I want to throw that out there. So good by Amos. I wrote down that he filled in very nicely too at the 10 minutes he got in, especially when Nolan Winter was out as well in that second half.
Yep.
And then for Kamari McGee to finish things off, another stat stuff for night for him. 24 minutes, 6 points, 3 assists, and 1 rebound. Two of those buckets were absolutely big time. The first one was the shot that he hit right before halftime. I was hoping with 30 seconds to go, Greg Gard would use his 1 timeout to draw something up. But thankfully, Cam proved me wrong there, and he just did his thing and hit a buzzer beater right before half.
That was a tough.
It was a very
contested fadeaway too.
And he got up when he went up for a jump shot. He got way up in the air. So for his size, don't be fooled. And then in the second half, his other bucket, a beautiful give and go pass with Steve Crowell. I mentioned that in the group chat the other night, so I wanted to call that out as well. But that was just big time as well. So I guess big picture. I thought too in this game, the one thing that really stuck out to me was that the batters are really, really patient in scoring. I think it was one of those games where we used up most of the shot clock in most of these in the buckets, especially in the second half. The patience really stuck out. I mean, we're talking, I said it before with the Carter Gilmore 3. I know Stephen Crowell got most of his buckets actually, especially in the second half when the shot clock was falling. Even John Tonje too had a couple circumstances, but they were way more patient. I know Iowa kind of speeds you up a little bit, but I think this is kind of the complete opposite in terms of how we were getting our buckets in terms of patience. So this is another great win. Rutgers is 75-19 at home since the 2020 season. So it's definitely no easy task at all. But no, great win. I like our schedule going forward too. As a Badger fan, just looking who's on the schedule, and a lot of good opportunity to, hopefully put us, right at the top.
Yeah, there's a gauntlet that they have. It's like, I think it's the 29th to like February 5th.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because they go at Maryland, at Northwestern versus Indiana, at Iowa, at Purdue versus Illinois versus Oregon. Yeah, basically the first half of February. The 15th to the 22nd, that 3-game stretch is the toughest part.
I think we can go 4-2 in that next 6. Basically, the month of January is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, if we're looking at January, yeah, absolutely.
4-2, I'm hoping
That's
out of that stretch. So
yeah,
what happens.
So before we get to the last thing, I thought actually the Badgers did a really good job, especially in the first half. Everybody using pump fakes to get their guys in the air.
Yep.
Everybody on the team was doing it. And then finding teammates off of that, getting guys in the air, and then just dropping off passes. It worked for Stephen Crow to get some buckets. Helped the Badgers go on a 10-0 run in the first half. Scoring in transition, scoring in the half court. Rutgers was getting some threes to go. The Badgers were giving a little bit too much space. So when they start playing teams that like to shoot the three, I think they're going to have to be a little more conscious and not losing shooters, because it allowed the guys to hit some threes and allowed Rutgers to get back in the game as well. Other than that, I wanted to go from the last 6 minutes and 47 seconds. So the Badgers were up by 3 points. It was 60-57. The Badgers outscored Rutgers 15-6 over those last 6 minutes and 47 seconds. 4 of those 6 points scored by Rutgers came in the final minute, where the Badgers were playing just don't foul anybody defense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look from that 6:47 to the last minute, basically a 15-2 run by the Badgers.
Putting the clamps down. Yep.
Man.
Yeah.
So I made this little table in my notes here because you guys both talked about the turnovers and the offensive rebounds. So my little table says bad, bad, good, bad. Mm-hmm. So it's 16 turnovers is obviously bad. 15 points off turnovers for Rutgers is bad. 18 offensive rebounds for Rutgers is bad. Only 6 second chance points out of those 18 offensive rebounds. That is good.
That is really good.
So you look at that, that's 21 points. That's a third of the 63 that Rutgers scored. So if you look at the Badgers just have kind of an average turnover game, they average 9.9. If they have 10 turnovers, the Badgers could have won this game something like 81-58-ish.
Yeah, we kind of beat them up in the paint, too. We were plus 10 points in the paint, so.
Yeah.
All right, last thing before we move on, I want to talk about the Max Klesmit thing because I saw it as it happened, and the more replays I saw, the more unnecessary it was and the angrier it made me. There was absolutely no reason that the Rutgers player needed to close out on Max Klesmit after a whistle. And then to get that close to get in his landing area.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just completely unnecessary. There's a reason that the NBA made that a flagrant foul.
Yep.
Absolutely unnecessary. And then to stand over him on top of it, too. It happened again. There was some more guys kind of touching each other after the whistles and stuff. And I literally typed it in all caps in our chat. Stop touching my players. You've already hurt Max Klesmit for some dumb shit because you didn't like that he was hitting threes on you.
No.
That, in my mind, that should have been a technical foul.
I mean, just another scenario where talent doesn't equal success, right? They gotta couple 5 stars, right? They got a pretty talented team over there for Rutgers. And they if you don't work hard and you don't have it up here, this is what matters, really. For all you young players out there that, eventually will listen to this. If you don't have it up here, it don't matter, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So not happy about it, the way that it happened, but unfortunately all we can do is move forward from it. And like we said, thankfully Max Cousins is only day-to-day. He doesn't have anything broken or anything, like a severe sprain or anything.
Right.
So hopefully he just misses 1 or fewer games. But looking at it, the Badgers, they play Minnesota on Friday and then Ohio State on Tuesday, who just played a very confusing game on Monday night.
Yes.
Not a good look for Minnesota. The game ended up going into double overtime because of some really questionable basketball IQ by Minnesota. But the Badgers get to play both of those teams in the next week. So anything else you guys want to say on Badger basketball before we let Mike head out?
3 of the next 4 games are on Peacock, so I look forward to listening to people bitch about that.
So I've become a little
check them Twitter feeds. Yeah.
that has become, kind of a
well, hopefully they get the point, because now football, it was on Peacock again this year. Like,
bro, the first year I was kind of like, all right. The second year I was like, guys, they just did this. Like, it's happening. This might be the 3rd or 4th year they've been putting games on Peacock, guys. Like, it's happening. It's here. Just get with the program. Sorry. I'm not a big fan of it either, but I just suck it up, and I like the Badgers, so I pay for Peacock and I watch the games.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on Peacock too. We've had this conversation.
There is. There's some good shows on there.
Good, very good shows. Yeah.
All righty. Anything else before we let Mike go? All right. Here we go. Mic drop. Get it? All right. See you next week, Mike.
See you guys.
Later, dude. You're doing pretty good today. You're doing pretty good. I liked our Lord and Savior Tyler, the mic drop. You got 2 so far. That was pretty good.
All right. Well, now we got to get serious. We don't have to get, annoying about it, because we've had conversations as far as the Packers go, like how people handle losing, and it really says a lot about them. Yeah. 2 pretty frustrating losses. 2 games that are definitely winnable for the Bucks. So we can start with the Nets game, and then we have the Blazers, and then we have the Raptors games to recap here. And then we're going to talk about Khris Middleton a little bit. But let's start with the Nets game. What stood out to you from Bucks and Nets?
Yeah, so there's a trend that I'm going to talk about with these next 2 games. I'm talking the Nets and the Trailblazers game. And and what I'm going to talk about is how Giannis just wasn't Giannis. And they talked about it during the Raptors game, actually, where Giannis was kind of missing some of those drives that he usually makes.
Yeah,
and
right.
In either of those games, if we have that Giannis, we win those games. It's just as simple as that.
Absolutely.
And people are like, oh, you expect him to be superhuman? Well, kind of, yeah, because he kind of is a superhuman.
Most valuable.
I've seen pretty incredible things. I've seen him finish some shit where I'm just like, nobody else in the world is finishing that.
This is the thing, like well, just to stay on Giannis, who played nearly a perfect game.
Yeah.
He was roaming and prowling on defense. He had 3 blocks and a steal. He was 50% from the field, had 27, 13, and 7, only 3 turnovers. The game-winning layup that he could have made, Giannis will tell you that he should have made that basket.
Yeah.
So it's not like a thing where it's like, I had a good look at it, it just didn't go. Giannis would literally sit down and say, I should make that shot. I've made it 1,000 times in my career, which he has. A contested layup going to his right side. He's made that 1,000 times. He'll make it another 1,000 times before he retires.
Yep.
But just didn't happen.
Yeah. And it sucks. But, it's a couple Giannis kind of struggling from the driving area. Damian Lillard didn't have his most efficient game scoring either. And, it sucks to say, but it is what it is. On top of, both of them kind of struggling on the drive, the catch and shoot game wasn't the most efficient in this one either. Khris Middleton, 2 points on 25% on catch and shoots. Gary Trent Jr., 3 points on 16.7% from catch and shoot area. And Dame had 9 points on 33%. Big shout out to Bobby Portis, though. He was 3 for 3. He had 9 points on catch and shoots, 100%. So he did great there. Pull-up game, I mean, this was just it is one of those games, and it sucks to say, but it's just one of those games where the two guys on the top just, they weren't themselves, up to standard, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And you could tell that maybe the rust was starting to get to Khris Middleton a little bit. He's come back. He's had to sit down with a sickness. He's trying to come back from that now. And he's going to have some setbacks. I mean, it's not going to be, he's going to come back and then it's just he's going to be back, right? With every surgery, with every injury, it's you come back, your body feels good, and then your body's kind of reacting to you doing some high intensity workouts. Basketball games that's a lot of wear and tear on the ankles,
Yeah. And
so
knees.
yeah. So I mean, Khris Middleton was going to have his ups and downs, just like every other player. He's a human being. Okay.
Yep.
So I want people to understand that he still was 6 of 11 from the field. I mean, that's a great percentage. He is not the defender that he used to be, but that doesn't mean that you're just allowed to have a goddamn field day on Twitter talking about Khris Middleton. Okay.
Here's the thing. So I've listened to a book about a player who was trying out for the NBA. Do you know what the conditioning requirements are for the NBA?
No, I don't actually.
It's 23 down and backs in 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's
94 feet down and back. You have to do that 23 times. I think it's either 4 or 5 minutes.
Damn, what is that? What is that math, bro? You said 23 times, right?
Yeah.
23 times 94, right? That's 2,162 feet in 4 minutes. Damn.
Gives you about I think it must be 5 minutes, because otherwise that would be almost 6 in a minute. But I mean, you're talking 10 to 12 seconds to go 23 times.
Yeah,
There's not a single person who's talking on Facebook that is doing that.
Yeah, no.
So I don't really want to hear shit about people's conditioning.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll throw the same thing for Damian Lillard, because we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it still a couple more games. The way that they were talking about the illness that they've had, I'm not expecting them to be back in that NBA level conditioning in a week.
Bro, my job hurts when I come back from being sick like that. My job, my low intensity, lifting some doors, moving some stuff, lifting things up, putting them down, that hurts after I'm out for 2-3 days of being sick. You're
talking about having a track meet on a wooden floor with people also trying to run into you
and jump over you, and they're also 6'10" to 7 feet tall, and they could dunk on you.
And also trying to play chess within that same thing and take shots and play defense. They used to play offense and defense in basketball.
It's more than people are
really... I'm not taking random people's accounts on Facebook seriously anymore. Not that I ever really did, but I'm taking it even less seriously than I ever even used to.
Yeah. So now that I'm done talking about some players, well, I got one more to talk about. I want to talk about Andre Jackson Jr. in his ejection.
Yep.
First of all, the funniest reply of all time from Giannis. The funniest reply of all time, saying, "Why did he slap me?" And Giannis saying, "Because you was acting crazy out here, man." I mean, that's the funniest. And he was. And to Nick Claxton's credit, he was balling. Okay.
No.
So when you're in a groove and you're balling like that, you're dunking, you're going crazy. I like
Nick
Claxton. I don't have a problem with Nick Claxton. I think he would look great in a Bucks uniform, personally. He's a little too expensive, and Brooklyn's probably not going to get him up, especially in the East. But I would love Nick Claxton in a Bucks uniform. He'd be fantastic. I was a fan of it. Not a fan of the cheap shot of how he went about it, but I was a fan of Andre Jackson Jr. being physical, because the Bucks were getting punked for a little bit in this game. They were down big. They dug too big of a hole for them to come back. That's literally the first thing I wrote down, is too big of a hole. They had a crazy 20-0 run at the end of this game. Giannis had a chance to take the lead. It was crazy. For them to have that ability to be able to come back from a lead like that with that little time is insane. If that doesn't tell you that this team has championship potential, you're either drunk or blind or high. I don't know which one you are. You might be all three at one time, but
or willfully ignorant.
Or willfully ignorant. We'll add that one in there as all the above. But Andre Jackson Jr. kind of being the physicality for this team, I love. Somebody had to step up and somebody had to say something because we were getting bullied.
So
again, I don't like the move that he did, but I agree with him being physical and kind of stepping up for the team. Like, yo, we're not just going to get out here, put these shoes on and get punked like this.
I'm going to throw this out there. So Claxton was kind of grabbing him a little bit, and Andre Jackson Jr. gave him one of these.
Yeah.
Got him on the wrists. Leave it at that.
That's fair.
Like, you chopped his wrist. He's feeling that.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that. You didn't get called for a foul. You got away with chopping him.
Yep.
Let it be.
Yep.
My thing with this is after that, the hand to the face thing, you have to be smarter than that, Ajax.
Yeah.
I understand what you are saying on, trying to send a message or something like that. That was not the right way to do it.
No, it was not. Absolutely.
I'm fine with, chopping the arms to get him to let go of your jersey. Fine with that. Claxton's about to set a screen on you. Run through his chest. Send the message that way. Don't do something stupid that's going to get you kicked out of a game because you are too important to get kicked out of a game.
I was going to say, give him that Pau Gasol treatment with Kobe in the Olympics.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Run through his chest. You're going to get called for a foul, but you're not going to get thrown from the game. Andre Jackson Jr., you are too important to get thrown out of a game. Yeah. So it's not even about Andre Jackson Jr. at that point. It's about the rest of the team who needs you on the floor with them.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you have to be smarter than your frustration at that point. That was my issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
To go back to Giannis, the other part of it is if we are going to consider him the best player in the world, to consider him the MVP, as we are going to think about him, because we are going to bake a little bit of hometown bias into it, he's top 3. That's not a question. But if we want to present him as a guy who can win MVP, we need him to make some of the shots like he had a chance to make at the end of this game, or like the shot that he had to make at the end of the Charlotte game.
That is completely fair.
He's had 2 pretty Giannis-like shots to have chances at game winners this year, and he's missed both. So that's something that's going to hurt his MVP case a little bit, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where just because we are optimistic does not mean we can't be realistic.
Yeah.
The other part of it, the Bucks lost this game by 3 points. Giannis was 3 for 10 at the free throw line.
Yeah.
If he's even on the low side of his average and he makes 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw people talking about that last play where he missed the layup and they wanted a foul. And I put it down in my notes too. Yeah, I can see a foul being called there.
He gets fouled every single play.
He does. Could they have called a foul? Yeah. But on a day where he was 3 for 10, maybe not the best day for him to go to the free throw line. Now, I will say, there have been times where he's got fouled and he's had a bad free throw shooting day and he goes up there and he makes 2. So, completely possible. But on a day where he's 3 for 10, you can't be trying to get bailed out by a foul.
That's not something you should be counting on.
Yeah.
And as much as, we would like to have the chance to win this game, you and I have both been pretty strong advocates of the final couple minutes of the game is to let the players play.
Yeah,
I
like that.
I'm not going to switch up on that just because it would have benefited the Bucks if he had a chance to make free throws after missing the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've said, it's a shot that he would tell you he should make, and it's a shot we've seen him make. So it's a shot I do expect him to make because he is, if not the best player, he is one of the 3 best players in the world.
I'm not going to lie to you, though, man. After he missed the shot, I was expecting one of those calls where you've seen it a bunch of times in the NBA where, like, if they make the shot, the ref doesn't call a foul. If they miss it, they do call. I was expecting him to call a foul because he missed the layup. I was like, oh, they're going to call a foul. They didn't.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
On the subject of Khris Middleton, he didn't make any threes this game, but he was cooking on his mid-range. We got mid-range Middleton in this game, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
He was one of the only guys that was scoring in the second quarter. Bucks were really struggling in the second quarter, and we talked about, you brought up the 20-0 run that got the Bucks down to 1 point down. they also went on a pretty big run in the end of the third quarter as well to cut the game to single digits. Yeah. And the Nets push it back up to 21. And then the Bucks went on another big run. So the Bucks chipped away at that lead twice.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get over the hump. Now, Dame was 6 of 20. Like I said, I'm still going to give him a couple more games to get his conditioning going. Spoiler alert, we know that he's going to have a good game coming up. Bucks were 11 of 37 on threes. Dame was 4 of 13. Khris was 0 for 3. Starters as a whole were 4 for 17. That's 23.5%. That's well below the league average, which is about 36. Gary Trent Jr. was 2 for 7. The 2 that he hit were clutch. That was on the end of the third quarter run when the Bucks were coming back. Bobby Portis was 3 for 4. Taurean Prince was 2 for 5. The bench was 7 for 20. That's slightly under that average. So I'm going to save something to say about when we get to Portland. Bucks had 14 turnovers. That's okay. That's on the higher side of the gray area. 27 points off turnovers for the Nets.
Yeah.
That is crazy high. That has to be cut down by playing better transition defense after turnovers.
Yeah.
No other way around it. Let's go to the Trailblazers game.
I really like Anthony Simons. Just gonna start out by saying that he's a good young player. He carries himself well. I haven't heard any issues about him complaining about losing or his role on the team or any of that. I really like him. Yeah, he's got my respect, like you said. Giannis 31, 11, and 2 in this one. Tremendous. He's Giannis, dude. This is simply his averages. The assists a little low on the average. This is where people really started to bitch about Middleton, sadly. 1 for 5 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3.
That's my problem right there. So I get that he didn't shoot well, that he was 1 for 5. Why the hell is Khris Middleton only shooting 5 shots in 26 minutes?
Yeah, I think, and I made a little bubble underneath Khris Middleton. I was like, they got to find a way to involve him more in not just playmaking opportunities, but force him to take a shot. Like call plays for him.
Call plays for him, yeah. In a game where he played 26 minutes and took 5 shots, Brook Lopez played 23 minutes, took 9 shots, and Bobby Portis played 25.5 minutes and took 11 shots.
Yeah.
Those two both played less minutes than Middleton, and they took 20 shots and made 6 of them.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm getting to the efficiency right here. So Giannis and Dame again struggled in the driving to the basket area. They scored 6 points. The whole team, and Giannis and Dame were all of them. Dame shot 33% on drive opportunities. Giannis shot 22% on drive opportunities. Literally the worst game of his career he's ever going to have driving to the rim. He will never do that again.
Yikes.
Catch and shoot, scored 39. Bobby and Brook 16%, Bobby 20%, Gary Trent Jr. and Taurean Prince. I always want to call him Tayshaun Prince. This is the new thing that's going to mess me up, just like Peralta used to with the Brewers.
Just start thinking of him as his younger brother.
Yeah. They're both 33%. The one bright spot in this game was AJ Green.
AJ Green.
He shot 58.3% on catch and shoot opportunities. He scored 21 points. He was the bright spot. If you're going to take anything positive away from this game, the Bucks battled. You could always take that away. You kind of expect that they're going to battle. They're a veteran team. They're a championship team. They're always going to battle.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is 2 games that Bucks fans are going to walk away and think that they should have won, and I agree. But AJ Green played good on-ball defense for one, and he shot the ball crazy on catch and shoot opportunities. He was feeling it in the first half in this game. He came out on a heater. And this game alone is the reason for the move today, in my opinion, but we're going to get to that after we talk about the Raptors.
Yeah. So I want to just talk about Dame because looking at the eye test, he does look quicker. In this game, this was a game that I started to notice that maybe his conditioning is getting better. Mm-hmm. And then we can, we'll talk about the Raptors game. But AJ Green, it was really good to see him shoot well, especially coming off of a back injury. He had like a back bruise, which does not sound pleasant at all. Jake mentioned the 21 points. He also had 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. The Bucks as a team, 13 for 41 on threes. That's 31.7%. So early in the season, I know I mentioned this a lot, that bad three-point shooting was directly correlating with losses.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the Nets game, 11 for 37. Blazers game, 13 to 41. Pretty similar efficiency in the low 30%.
Yeah.
So I'm not shocked to see that was the case with this game. Brook Lopez was 1 for 6. Dame was 2 for 7. Bobby and Taurean Prince were 1 for 4, and Khris was 0 for 3. AJ Green was carrying this. If you take AJ Green out, you're looking at 6 for 28 from the rest of the team.
Jesus.
Now, again, my issue with this is, unfortunately, it's Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, because we're getting some good games from them, but the efficiency is not anywhere, the consistency is not anywhere near what it needs to be, especially for a guy who's going to start and a guy who's going to be a perennial 6 man of the year candidate.
Yeah.
So this game, unfortunately, a month away from the trade deadline, made me ready to double down on my wanting to trade Robbie Portis for Brandon Clark.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm like inching towards the fence, but I'm not on the fence yet. I still want to keep Bobby in Milwaukee.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm climbing down the fence on the side of trading him, but I'm like still like holding on to the top of the fence.
I feel you.
I'm like 60-40 trade keep.
Yeah.
Maybe 55-45.
Pretty close.
Right. But I'm just slightly on the side of trading him because of the consistency. That's it. It's not the play style. It's not the energy. It's not anything like that. Like, he's not like a locker room cancer or anything like that. Obviously, he's great for the culture. It's strictly based on consistency.
I get it.
Then Brook Lopez. So the Bucks in the last 2 games, both this Nets game and Blazers game, they went small. So my question to you is, do you think this is something they should lean into, or something they should just keep as an option at specific times? Brook Lopez isn't moving slow, but he's just not reactive enough. So I don't know if you think it's a focus thing or an age thing, or if it's something that they should do just timely and not something that they should fully commit to.
That's the thing about basketball is basketball is the most matchup dependent sport because you get so many more one-on-one opportunities. Like, I feel like football can be that way too.
Sure.
But like, if you're calling a fly for a wide receiver and an offensive lineman misses a block, is that really count as a one-on-one?
You're talking 5 guys on each side versus 11 guys on each side.
Yes, in football, a guy's trying to rip your freaking throat out of your mouth. So, in basketball, you can literally just create one-on-one opportunities. I think it's so tough. I freaking love Brook, and I just talked so highly of him last week. It's tough for me to like talk bad about him now. And I'm not saying we're talking bad about him, but
he still brings a lot of defensive value.
He does, but there is going to be times, and this is why I really liked your trade for Brandon Clark, because then you can just always have 2 defensive bigs on the floor at all times.
Yes.
And it makes so much sense, like schematically, and he's going to be a lot quicker. Yeah, so I would say that you're going to have to go matchup based, but like there's not going to be a lot of matchups where Brook's going to get favored or even, especially in today's NBA, because it's a young man's game. He is getting up there, so I was leaning age, but I don't know. That's tough. That makes Doc's job really tough. I love Brook Lopez, but they're going to have a lot of money freed up to sign a young, cheap, athletic big after this year.
John Horst, please go get Brandon Clark.
I would like it.
Bucks had 11 turnovers. That's fine. 13 points off turnovers isn't a killer. Just have to shoot better at the 3-point line. And that might be a thing that we face here. That might be a thing that we just face it, where it's like, okay, if the Bucks shoot well from 3, they can beat anybody. If they don't, they can lose to anybody. That just might be the reality of this year's Bucks team.
Yeah.
It just might be the reality of this year's Bucks team. Because we go to the Raptors game, 22 of 44. 50%. Beautiful numbers. Dame, 5 for 8. Bobby Portis, 4 for 6. Brook Lopez, 4 for 8. Those two were really tough against Portland. They were 2 for 10 combined. This game, 8 for 14. I just need the consistency, guys. Like, it's awesome to blow up, but I just need there to be a higher floor.
Yeah, that's what it really is.
Because the floor gets so low at times that the Bucks can lose to the Trailblazers. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Gary Trent Jr. was 3 for 5. Taurean Prince was 2 for 5. On a game where the Bucks turned the ball over 21 times, that fortunately doesn't correlate as strongly with wins and losses as much as the three-point shooting, but damn, you got to cut those down.
Yep.
Giannis had 7. Brook Lopez had 4. Those two combined for 11 of the 21. Nobody else had more than 2. So that is good. The Raptors had 23 points off turnovers. If you cut that in half, I'd be happy. Looking at Giannis, he had a triple-double, but was low in points. He played kind of a little bit more as a distributor because he wasn't feeling well ball handling with the stitches that he had in his hand. And same with the shooting. He only took 8 shots. It was the first single-digit shot game of his career since December of 2023.
That's wild.
He finished with 11 points, 12 rebounds, and 13 assists. Dame had his get-right game. He started this game 2 for 7 from the field and made his next 5 shots to finish 7 of 12. 5 for 8 from the three-point line, had a team-high 25 points. So hopefully that carries over into tonight's game against the Spurs.
Right.
My big takeaway, 2 big takeaways, ball movement. We talked about this with the Badgers, actually, but the Bucks had 47 made field goals. 37 of them were assisted.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're talking like 80, that's 78.7% of their field goals were assisted. That's an insane number. 37 assists is wild. Most teams are averaging like 25-ish.
Yeah.
So love that. And then watching the end of this game, I didn't take a ton of notes on it, but my big thing was nobody at the end of the bench is screaming, play me, especially offensively.
Oh, 100%. No.
There's not anybody at the end of the bench that I'm like, that guy needs more playing time. It's not Marjan. It's not DeLon Wright. It's not Stanley Amude. It's not Liam Robbins. It's not Pat Connaughton. Nobody that's sitting at the end of the bench is screaming, play me.
Yeah.
Marjan's got some potential defensively, but the offensive miscues, they're just too frequent. Between turnovers and airballing threes, I'm sorry, it's just not there at the NBA level. He's a really good defender on ball. That's about all I got for him. Unfortunately, I really like Marjan, and I hope he, gets a second wind somewhere, or just has a really great G League career for him. But watching him play against one of the worst teams in the NBA, I still don't see things that make me want to play him over AJ Green or Chris or Ajax or Ryan Rollins for that matter. Like, I just don't see anything there.
Yeah, I agree. I do like him on defense. I think that he doesn't have to be a shooter, but if he had a little bit better handle and he was able to get into the paint, I think he would get playing time. But he never developed the handle and the finishing required to play on an NBA floor. So yeah, it's sad. Talked about the 37 assists, insane number. When I saw that at the end of the game, I was like, holy shit, dude. They were hopping the ball around. Talking about efficiency, Damian Lillard, 100% on drives this game. 2 for 2. Love that. If you only have 2 attempts and you make both of them, I love that. 7 other players or 7 total players scored. 6 of them had 2 points. No player shot lower than 50%. Everybody was at least 1 for 2. So they were efficient in driving to the rim this game. That was a big difference. Giannis made one where it was just like, holy shit, man. Then catch and shoot. This is the most impressive. 66 points on catch and shoot opportunities. Now, at first I saw that and I was like, golly. And then I saw it again and I was like, God damn it. We were one more shot away from being really fucking hilarious.
One shot away from being nice.
Nice. Bobby Portis made 12 points on catch and shoot opportunities. He shot 66%. Brook Lopez scored 14 points. He shot 62.5%. So tremendous work from those two. You already highlighted that. Night and day difference when those guys are hitting their open jumpers. Damian Lillard shot 100% on catch and shoot opportunities, 9 points. Gary Trent Jr. also 100%, 9 points on catch and shoot opportunities. So they were lighting it up. The boys were letting it fly. The mantra from a couple of years ago, let it fly. They were letting it go, and they did a good job on that. Shout out on the pull-up game. Got 18 points on that, 14 points on paint touches. So I thought the Bucks did a much better job of kind of getting everybody involved, keeping everybody involved. The rebounding was much better in this game as well. Don't mean to say so much. Against the Trailblazers, the Bucks gave up 55 rebounds, 8 offensive and 47 defensive rebounds. They had 43 rebounds themselves, 7 offensive and 36 defensive. Against the Raptors, they only gave up 35 rebounds. So 20 less rebounds. So we were putting bodies on bodies, boxing out, getting our rebounds, and making our open shots. This was a much more focused Bucks team. Regardless of record of the team, this team was more focused because they were at home for those other 2 games, and they were losses. They went on the road in this game. I don't care about record. This is what the Bucks can do when they box out, they play defense, and they hit their open shots. So absolutely. This is a much more telltale for what I think the Bucks can be. And there was a question floating around on Twitter today, and it was, do you view the Bucks as a contender? And I'm going to answer first, and I'm going to let you go. I said yes, because when the Packers had Aaron Rodgers and they were a bad defensive team and the roster wasn't as good, we always had a chance, right?
Yeah.
Because we had one of the best players in the league. The same respect should be held to Giannis.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this, if we're talking people are like, oh, they're playing bad teams and they're not, getting up in the seeding. And it's like, as soon as the 8 seed Miami Heat beat the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks, there should not be anybody who is a current Milwaukee Bucks fan that strongly cares about seeding.
Yeah.
I understand kind of caring about it, but it shouldn't be a main priority for the season at this point.
I agree.
You're talking a 7-game series. You're going to play 3 of them at home if you're not a top 4 seed.
Yeah.
You only need to win 1 out of 4 road games.
Yep.
So the seeding thing isn't huge for me.
Agreed.
Now, you're talking Giannis, who is, we've talked about, a top 3 NBA player. You don't think that Damian Lillard or Khris Middleton could get hot for a 7-game series?
See, and that's what I was kind of talking about too, because people were like, "Oh, you think you just carry the team by himself all the way to the finals?" I was like,
"You think he's by himself?"
Dirk did it, and he didn't have a sidekick as good as Damian Lillard. I promise you that.
Fuck, I don't think. Did he have anybody as good as Khris Middleton? He had like Jason Kidd and Jason Terry, like.
Terry would show up every couple of games. You don't think Khris Middleton could show up every couple of games?
The first run that they had when they lost to the Heat in 2006, like there was like Michael Finley and like.
True.
I mean, you're not talking guys that are multiple-time All-Stars.
Yeah, or like one of the best
All
shooters
NBA
in NBA
75s,
Right.
Khris was by himself last season in the playoffs against the Pacers, and. I know he averaged almost 25 points. He averaged 24.7 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 4.7 assists basically by himself.
Yeah, and that's going to be our third best player.
Our third best player who is now coming off the bench.
And I'm just going to tell you, the comment section was exactly how you thought it would be, first of all. Okay? Mm-hmm. The people that actually think that they're contenders, that voted on there and actually thought that they were contenders, they didn't comment on there. It's only the people that had negative thoughts and negative, negativity towards the team that were just like, I have to get my thoughts out there. So later when they lose in the playoffs, I can show everybody that I was right. That's not the way to go about this, people. That's not the way to go about this.
Cool. You know what I've started doing to those people?
Yeah.
I just comment the cookie emoji.
Yeah. I mean.
Cool. Good for you, man. Are you happy that you predicted the Packers would be a first-round exit as a 7 seed against a 2 seed? Like, are you happy about that?
Just so everybody's aware, they should be a first-round exit as a 7 seed versus a 2 seed. Just so everybody's aware of that.
Or even if they were a 6 seed against the 3 seed,
they should lose that game. They're literally a lower seed.
They're literally like predicted to lose by 3.5, 4 points.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now the Bucks play tonight against the Spurs late as hell for some reason. They play Friday at Orlando, and then they play Sunday at New York at 2:00 in the afternoon. I hate those Sunday afternoon games. I fully expect the Bucks to shoot like 30%.
Yep.
I'm already in my mind crumpling that game up and throwing it over my shoulder. Those Sunday afternoon games are so dumb. The players have talked about it. They don't like it. Like, I can't stand it.
I said this before the show. The people who make the NBA schedule are literally, I'm just going to say it, they're dumber than the people that make the MLB schedule. And the MLB schedule has to schedule 162 games. And they're better at it than the NBA.
In like 180 days.
Why in the hell would you make a basketball game in the afternoon during the NFL playoffs? You could literally just move it one day in the afternoon where there's one playoff game, and it's at night. You wonder why your ratings are going down, you dumbasses.
Yeah, I would rather this game be taking place at like 6, because then that's like the first slate of games is ending.
Yeah.
And you're still an hour and a half away from the next game starting.
Completely fair.
And then you don't have to play at 2:00 in the afternoon, which nobody wants.
Nobody wants that. The
Especially
players,
on a Sunday.
fans, nobody wants that.
No, it's annoying. And then they play Tuesday against the Kings.
Yep.
So starting with the Spurs game tonight, the Bucks are moving Middleton to the bench. Now, I have basically one thought on this, but you can feel free to give me the rest of your thoughts.
Give me your one thought.
My one thought is there's enough scoring in the starting lineup. Khris is already, like we've talked about the way that they're using Khris, that they're going to stagger lineups. This is literally just a stronger version of staggering lineups by bringing Khris in with the bench players instead of leaving him out there with the bench players.
Yeah. So I had kind of presented this to you a couple of weeks ago, and I was kind of for it, but like at the same time, it's like this is Khris Middleton, man. I'm going to show him some respect, you know?
Yeah.
I love it for a lot of reasons. One, he can just be the guy on the bench, right? Yep. I love it because he's going to hold Bobby Portis accountable. When Bobby Portis is kind of mentally losing it a little bit, okay. I do think to make this fully work, they do need to get a backup athletic big, because I think Middleton with a backup athletic big with the pick and roll, he can make that work just like he does with Giannis with his passing. Because he's a tremendous lob passer. Okay?
Yes.
People don't give him enough credit for that.
Yep.
Also, I like it, like you said, with staggering lineups. So with Dame and Giannis, how they're kind of taking them out of the game, and with Middleton, you can now play him with both of them. It makes it easier to kind of work those minutes around. I love it because now he's going to be going against second unit players that he was abusing starters. He is going to really abuse backups.
Man. And here's the last thing on this is Khris Middleton coming off the bench to start games does not mean that they view him as their 6th best player.
No.
When we get to late game situations, Khris Middleton's going to be on the floor.
Is Jordan Clarkson the 6th best player on the Utah Jazz? He still comes off the bench.
I mean, let's throw this out there. The Suns just did something very similar with Bradley Beal.
Yep.
His first game off the bench, he had 25 points.
Yeah, it's better that way. You can get him more shots that way instead of having him in a lineup where there's one ball, which we talked about plenty of times with lots of teams.
Yep.
Kevin Durant's going to need to shoot the ball. He's very good.
So is Devin Booker.
Devin Booker, very good. He can shoot. He can score. He can make tough shots. You can't take the ball out of their hands and just give it to Bradley Beal because you traded for him. You pay him a lot of money. It doesn't make sense schematically.
No, have him shooting when they're on the bench.
You go back to Jamal Crawford days. You go back to Lou Williams days. On the Clippers, they were very good players. They were good in their role as 6th man. I think Khris Middleton could thrive in this.
There's a couple other guys that I would throw out there too. I mean, guys like Terrence Ross.
Yeah, that's a
That
good
guy
one.
could give you 30 off the bench. A guy who is now leading the Clippers in scoring, Norman Powell.
Oh, yeah, Norman Powell's having a great year. That's a really good call.
He used to be a sixth man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's opportunities for it for guys. And I don't think Khris is going to be like, no, I need to be in the starting lineup because, like, if the Bucks, let's just say hypothetically, this isn't happening, but let's just say the Bucks could swap Khris Middleton for Jimmy Butler. Do you think Jimmy Butler would accept being the sixth man?
Absolutely not. Also, I'm going to bring somebody up because we were talking about this and my mind just started going crazy. Do you think that Manu Ginobili was the sixth best player on the Spurs?
That's another good one.
There was times, and I'm being so serious, I don't give a shit about Tim Duncan truthers. There was times in playoff games where I thought Manu was the best player on the floor.
At times, yes.
Not for whole games, but there was times where Manu Ginobili was taking over games, scoring, defense, fast break. He was going nuts, and he was a sixth man his whole career.
They talked about it during the Olympics when when the Redeem team was happening.
Yeah,
that they were fueling Dwayne Wade by people saying that Manu was better than Wade.
Yeah, dude, Manu
Wade
Ginobili
was pissed.
Dwayne Wade in his prime, he was almost untouchable. He was the man. But Manu Ginobili was that guy.
It's Jordan, Kobe, Dwayne Wade.
In prime, I would agree with that. If you bring defense into a factor in pre-injury, absolutely.
And I don't want to hear shit about James Harden. That dude plays half of the game, and he is a cancer everywhere he goes.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get started on unless you want to hear me
Don't
cuss.
do that. But anyways, like I said, my point on this is even if the Bucks could swap Middleton for Jimmy Butler is not going to accept this role.
I'm just going to say, Giannis already vetoed one trade for Butler, and that was pre-championship. They won a title together. Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
And I'll throw this out there. You brought it up. Why would Jimmy Butler not want to be traded to Milwaukee? And my thing is, it goes back to Philadelphia. He could have a little bit of ill will towards Doc Rivers because Philadelphia chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, in the playoffs when he said Tobias over me, it was like, ooh, just missed the knife, twist it.
That might be top 5 dumbest decisions ever.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
All righty. Well, we got Bucks, Spurs, 3 hours from now. So an 8:30 tip on that one tonight. Yeah, Giannis doesn't want the cancer of Butler. Still don't. Yeah, I saw somebody talking about it too. It was, I don't even remember who was talking about it now. Oh, it might have been Cody and I that were talking about it. That even if Giannis and Dame and Middleton were all like retiring today, and James Harden was like, I'll come save Milwaukee, I would rather start a rebuild.
Oh, 100%. I don't want that.
Brett asked if we think Dame's playing with the calf contusion. He'll probably test it out before the game, I would imagine.
I mean, if Giannis is playing with some stitches in his finger, I think Dame will play with a little bruise.
Yeah, I would think he'll play.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we will be back again next Wednesday. Also, tune in Tuesday night because we will be talking about the Packer game from Sunday on that one as well. Other than that, we'll be back next week with more Badgers and Bucks basketball. We're about 6.5 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting, so not quite getting close to printing a Brewers primer yet, but just maybe something to think about a little bit yet. Other than that, like I said, more basketball coming next week, and we will see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for some comments there, Brett, and be sure to listen, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace out.